Um, so um, I have a very straight sort of linear answer to this, and then I'll probably add more layers to it. My first straight answer is that I was learning French when I was in college, and I realized, of course, you go into classes and you have these 1 or 2 hour sessions in a week, but that's just not enough because that's not exposing you to language in a way that it should. And in the end, you sort of your semester ends and you start giving exams, and either you pass or fail, and that's the end of it. But if you really want to learn a language, you need to live in it. So I figured, since I'm not living in France or in French environment per se,
Right.
I wouldn't sort of have that kind of fluency and
True.
absorption.
Language is not only a means by which we communicate our thoughts and ideas, but it also helps in building friendships, cultural relationships, and economic ties. Basically, it shapes the way we perceive the world around us. And appropriate learning of a particular language not only enhances our minds, but it also enhances our personalities. We have with us today a very young and dynamic lady, Pallavi Singh, who is the instructor of Hindi as a foreign language. Pallavi has been appointed by the US Consulate as a Hindi language instructor in Mumbai. She has also appeared in the middays list of 39 under 39 alongside famous celebrities like Vicky Kaushal, Ashwini Iyer Tiwari, and many more. Pallavi has also been a language instructor to actresses like Lisa Ray, Jacqueline Fernandez, and well known historian William Dalrymple. Pallavi was also featured by a nationally aired Rajya Sabha show called Guftagu in 2016 as one of the youngest interviewees. She has bagged in many more appreciations and she's willing to take her passion for a wider cause. Hi everyone, I'm Nazneen Kachwala, founder of Winged Fables, and I welcome you all to Hash Talks. Hi Pallavi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was a detailed description actually. So well done on the research. And that
Thanks.
was quite a quite a well presented introduction. So thank you for that actually.
Thanks, Pallavi. So I would start by asking you a very generic question, okay? So the first question would be that how did you get this idea of offering Hindi as a foreign language?
Um, so um, I have a very straight sort of linear answer to this, and then I'll probably add more layers to it. My first straight answer is that I was learning French when I was in college, and I realized, of course, you go into classes and you have these 1 or 2 hour sessions in a week, but that's just not enough because that's not exposing you to language in a way that it should.
Yeah.
And in the end, you sort of your semester ends and you start giving exams, and either you pass or fail, and that's the end of it. But if you really want to learn a language, you need to live in it. So I figured, since I'm not living in France or in French environment per se,
Right.
I wouldn't sort of have that kind of fluency and
True.
absorption as maybe I would if I was living there. So I sort of reversed that concept and said, or I just thought to myself, I'm sure there are people out there who feel the same for Hindi. And
Yeah.
obviously, at the time, I didn't know that whether Hindi is taught abroad or not, or in how many places, and if so, who's teaching them, what is the method, etc., etc. Coming on to the layers, I always sort of feel that your cultural elements, be it your tangible elements like handicrafts or just any kind of form of art, or intangible like dance forms or language or XYZ, they're always commodities that you could eventually, if you think about
Yeah.
it well enough, you can eventually spread it through app marketing and sort of create a demand for it. So I feel like, if you have a Fab India going on, if you have a Good Earth going on, why don't we have something for intangible, aspects of culture, which of course language is a big part of. So I thought, ki, let's try and see. So I started reaching out, and the how came into being because that actually made sense at the time, because I was a student. It wasn't very hard enough for me to do. I could take the time, and that sort of laid the steps onto what became a full-fledged, career path.
Right. Okay. Um, Now, my next question would be that Do you have any pre-designed study module which you follow to teach this language to your students? And in what way is this module different from the one that is being taught already in the schools and universities?
So it's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. I'll first answer the second half of it, which is
Yeah,
it any different?
yeah.
So a lot of the modules that are designed are most of them are sort of designed by NCRT, which is our National Council of Education Research and Training. So they're not, these modules are not made for people who don't speak Hindi. They are made for people who already speak Hindi. And of course, also their target audience or target student, age group is very different. These are people, or maybe not even people, these are kids who are, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old.
Hmm.
Now, when you want to teach something to an adult, you have to have a different approach because their capacity to just grasp things is not the same anymore. So I feel like it's different because in two senses, it's a made for people who don't speak any Hindi and don't come from that background. They don't even have any exposure or heritage factor. Secondly, these modules are made for adults, meaning these are easily digestible content modules which are not very intricate or very complex to
Okay.
of course Hindi, I wouldn't say is an easy language, but if you're teaching an adult, specifically an adult who doesn't have any background, you have to have decoded the grammar rules and overall the language construction in a way that person understands it. And mind you, I'm teaching people who don't maybe speak English also as their first language,
Okay.
because I have French speakers and Italian speakers and
Right.
XYZ. So that's how they're different. Coming on to the first sort of part of question, which is um, do I have the modules?
Hmm.
Yes, I do have the modules, which I sort of created over the years by asking for feedback, what my student liked, didn't like in the way I
Yeah.
taught, or if they felt if the content was apt enough for them for their life. So I feel like I had this job of, because you're not again in a university setup, so you don't have the time frame of say a relaxed 6 months a semester or just 3 years of somebody's life to actually devote to this. So I feel like the modules are kept in mind that I sort of made in mind keeping the fact that these are adult people who don't maybe have Hindi as their priority. So
Right.
let's make it simple enough, let's make it small enough yet effective enough so they feel like they're progressing and learning. So they are
Okay.
very, very structured and methodical, and they do have an arc of learning. I'm not going to be able to teach somebody continuously if they feel like they're stuck at a level. So it has to be, like a graded
Right.
graph of learning. So they're different in that sense, because I know in our schooling system, and I'm not going to go in that direction, but our exams and everything is whether grade oriented, which obviously is not the case when I'm teaching.
Right.
So that's the difference, and that's sort of uh, the university versus individual teaching difference. If that's a good answer for you.
Right. But then now I get one more question in my mind. As you said that
Mm.
your modules are not grade oriented. But then how do we
No.
evaluate if a person has learned the language well? Is there a method in place already to evaluate? Because if supposingly if we learn English, then there are IELTS exams. There are so many other exams that we need to
Exactly.
do. If you learn German, then again you have those Goethe institutes or other institutes which organize these exams to know what level you stand for. Is there any organization in place for the Hindi language?
So that's the unfortunate aspect. Actually, that's again a very good question. A lot of my students ask me if I can provide them with like a leveled certification, meaning if
Yeah.
I could ask them to go and sit in for a state exam. Because so these are most of these exams that we talk about specifically with respect to languages, they are state funded and organized.
Yeah.
So the European Union has sort of these levels of A1, A1, A2,
A1, A2.
B1, B2,
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. And even as you said for IELTS and etc., they have these scales, one, two,
Yeah.
three, four, blah blah blah. So unfortunately, this is not an individual job. Like I cannot create my own scale and level and say, okay, this is a Pallavi state of Hindi. That wouldn't work.
Right.
You need something nationally recognized, preferably internationally recognized, but at least nationally recognized. And all these exams that we talk about are very, like I said, it's in the school sort of environment, you
Hmm.
know. So they don't have the fluency test to it.
Right. Okay.
They just have the content test to it. So
Okay.
is there an exam in place? No. Can I create one? Not yet. And no, I don't have that kind of influence or power. But um, a lot of my students ask me, how do they prove, once they
Right.
leave India and once they say are onto their next assignment, how do they prove that they've learned Hindi? So what I do is we do a small sort of let's say a comprehensive evaluation
Okay.
wherein I test them on comprehension, listening, reading, and speaking. And of
Okay.
course the fifth, I also call it the fifth angle, wherein is the articulation.
Okay.
How well you present your thoughts, which I feel is very individualistic, but also but I think that evaluation hour that sort of tests them on these 4 or 5 angles or aspects of language. After that, I feel like I have a good sense of if they've learned Hindi well enough. So I sort of give them my own, my company's certificate and tell them, okay, this is your level, this is what needs to be worked on. But again, that's
Okay.
very how do I say, proprietary. It's not
Hmm.
something recognized by state or by the government,
True.
etc. So if anybody is watching from the government, that's a cue for you.
Right.
Please
Right.
create some sort of exams, because there are a lot of foreigners who, especially students, who want to have a certificate to
Hmm.
which is very
Right.
government certified, etc., to put in their CVs,
Right.
which we don't have at the moment. So there we go.
Right. Okay. Pallavi, have you faced any challenges in pursuing this passion of yours?
Many. It's like, where do I begin? How much time do you have? No, I mean, I was thinking about this. I have been asked this before, so I was thinking about
Yeah.
this also. A lot of people ask me this question. I feel like there are two sides to this challenge aspect. First is, of course, when you start your own business,
Mm.
when you try and start your own thing, you anyways have, a lot to establish and prove.
Right.
So, I mean, even if I was selling ice cream on a street, I would have to contact the manufacturer. I would have to get the
True.
the vehicle in which they carry it. I have to just stand there all day. So I feel like, of course, one side is just very business oriented. How do you start a business? How do you take it forward? What are the steps to um, say,
Hmm.
bring it to light and sustain it? The second angle was, I think, the fact that it's such an unconventional thing that I do, at least I mean, it's not unconventional for me. I'm sure people know this, and if they don't, I should probably be telling them that English speakers have such a big advantage. If you're from
Hmm.
Canada or UK or Ireland or United States,
Yeah.
you can actually teach English abroad. So a lot of students or young adults in their early 20s or young 20s, they actually travel the world, um, without even your IELTS certificate, etc. They actually can go around the world teaching their own language, and it's just
Right.
assumed that since they are the speakers, of course, native speakers, they are also good teachers, which is obviously not a
Not
good
true. Yeah.
presumption. It's not true. um, so I feel like they're being given such privilege कि ठीक है आपको you speak the language, of course you can teach it well, which is not the
Hmm.
case, because
Hmm.
they are very very young, so they're hardly just graduates themselves, so they've just been out of school, so they don't have the concept of like um an adult mature career path, or just what do I want to do with life, or okay, let's just do this. So the whimsical aspect to it, that they can actually decide to travel a country on a whim,
Hmm.
it's just it's a slap on somebody like me who's being constantly asked, why do you teach Hindi? I'm like, well, why not? I'm not saying I should be able to travel the world, because I understand English is a colonial language and so on, but I mean, why not, at least in my country, wherein people are coming from the outside
Hmm.
places, I should be able to provide that service to them.
True.
So the second challenge is really the fact that people think is such an unconventional thing, is such a niche thing. तो French क्यों नहीं पढ़ाती हो? Why? I'm like, it's the same thing. I mean,
Right.
if you can't just apply that logic, and specifically your far-fetched relatives and friends who are just very used to being told the conventional career paths, right? Ki, what do you do? I'm a bank manager. What do you do? I'm a trainee. What do you do? I'm a this. So it's
Yeah.
like a single word answer. If I say I'm a teacher, fine. But if I say I'm a Hindi teacher and I'm not associated with the school, then they start asking, कैसे होता है ये कहाँ होता है, what's your office, and
Hmm.
so I feel like and this I think would be like a constant struggle as long as I'm alive. Yuki, this is never going to go away. This is something that people just take a long time to understand and digest, and I'm fine with that so long they eventually understand it. But I feel like this has been my constant struggle. So there we go.
Right. Right. Okay. And Pallavi, I would want you to share some of the stories or, some of the fine experiences that you have had with your students so far. So, yeah. And particularly with the ones that, you usually see on television and you were there to teach them. So, what was your experience with those people and with your students in general?
With students in general, I think the interesting things that I sort of encounter is probably more culturally aligned than linguistically aligned, because a lot of these people have been exposed to India and Indian culture in general through Bollywood.
Yeah.
And I don't think, for the most part, Bollywood is not a good representative of how we live. So just like the idea that everybody is wearing colorful clothes and it's all about love, and everybody's singing songs and everybody's just focused on love in their life and finding it and attaining it and all of that, is I don't think is very true. So
Ah.
some of these some of these interesting experiences have been, obviously, I mean, this part of it is just like oblivion, people don't want to maybe scratch the surface. Linguistically speaking, I feel like people are just sometimes amazed at how direct our language is,
Hmm.
because English, generally speaking, is quite polite. There's a lot of please and thank you being
Yeah.
thrown around for everything, which is a good thing. Of course, I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. All I'm saying is we don't do it. We
Yeah.
don't have that much of, or that amount of please and thank you that we just
Hmm.
sow in everyday lives, in our everyday lives. So I feel like that is a very big shock aspect also. And interestingly, probably I'll give you an example and to be more clear. People, there's language and culture are obviously intertwined. uh, the fact that, I mean, we are a patriarchal culture, right? I mean,
Hmm.
no surprises. The levels of, just even in the language, for example, you say mere papa, blah blah blah,
Hmm. Hmm.
mere papa, whatever. But when it comes to your mom, you say meri mummy, so there's this,
Right.
like, right there, you don't say mere mummy.
Hmm.
And technically, because papa is like a singular masculine, grammatically speaking, singular masculine entity, you should be just saying mera papa, but you don't.
Yeah.
So just that, it's like little things like that, and there's many. Matlab, I've just given you one example just to
Oh.
demonstrate
Hmm.
what my point is. So a lot of people ask me, why do you not say this for your mom? And I'm like, I don't know,
You don't have an
because we are
answer.
not
Yeah.
that, we are not that equal,
Yeah.
we don't have that kind of equality, so it's just reflected. So I
Hmm.
feel like these are interesting things that sort of come up when we are doing different topics, and I mean, they're innumerable, but yes, culturally, it's the fact that those some of the oblivious souls feel that India is just all about songs and love and finding love, which is not
Right.
true. And linguistically, it's just these little nuances that show up here and there, which people are like, oh wow, surprised by.
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, yeah, there we are, you know.
Okay. All right, Pallavi. And my next question would be that since we know that today English is one, as we discussed already, that it's one of the most preferred and widely spoken languages globally. Therefore, why do you think that there is a need to promote Hindi on a wider platform? And how can a normal educated individual contribute to this cause that you have already undertaken?
Um, I mean, I feel like when I put the word promotion, I was just saying that why the needs to be promoted is because simply because I feel like it's just. a native language spoken by many people. I mean, just for
Hmm.
that fact. And I feel like um, our culture has been very, very underrepresented overall in terms of um, media, in terms of its literature, its you know, music, etc. So I feel like wherein, I mean, ours is not a culture which sort of takes on the other culture and, you know, just like overlaps on it and
Hmm.
just controls it and you know, havi ho jana isko kehte hain na, you know, you just like become
Yeah.
superimposed on something else and you eclipse that thing. So I feel like our culture doesn't have that sort of power over
Hmm.
English as a language and
Yeah.
culture overall. So I mean, I feel like it's been this like this continued underrepresentation and just n- let's just say not even the word appropriate, but just this lack of knowledge amongst just the people in our country that, you know, we have the
Hmm.
books we have we have these amazing works of um, arts and music and, you know, various intangible things we just don't have access to because
Hmm.
people just don't value it enough or they haven't been exposed to it.
Right.
So I wouldn't maybe use the word promotion, but just keeping your thing alive, you know, use it in your family. Matlab, if you're from a Marathi family, speak in Marathi. If you're from a Punjabi family, speak in
Right.
Punjabi. Just like don't part with it, don't divorce with it because you are made to think otherwise that, you know, you should adapt English, etc. So that would be my answer. Just
Okay.
never leave it.
Right. Okay. And Pallavi, how do you plan to expand your undertakings? Like, do you have any particular plan to take this further?
Um, you know, I always say this to anybody who asks me if you have any plans. I said no,
Okay.
because I'm not somebody who believes in. I generally don't think planning actually ever worked out for me, at least personally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And now with, you know, 2020 proving to be like this, I feel like everybody in 2015 was wrong, right? You
Right.
know, if they were ever asked what will you do in the next 5 years, and whatever
Right.
they said was absolutely wrong. So I
Yeah.
don't think life is something that you can immaculately plan. Of course, you can have your goals. So my
Right.
first goal was when I was starting out was then that I wanted to be financially independent. I wanted to establish my name. I wanted to be the go-to, you know, Hindi tutor, and that is all done. So now I feel like my next goal is I want to continue doing this. I want to build a bigger reputation. I want to build a father like I want to have an outreach to
Right.
anybody sitting in any country of the, you know, of the world should be like, okay, if I want to learn Hindi, I need to go to Pallavi. So and I want to be happy. I mean, I feel like after you just, you know, spend so many years of your life building something, at some point you're like, ठीक है यार, हो गया. Now I want to do this. I want to be happy. Um, because I don't have, maybe I'm not that ambitious enough. I
Mm.
don't want to have this overall like, oh, I want to build a franchisee. I want to go to all the countries of the world and want to build schools and nothing like that. Nothing
Okay.
like that.
Okay. So, uh, Pallavi, my last question to you would be that are there any good contemporary Hindi books that you would suggest our viewers to read and focus more on the language? Yeah.
Um, I was when I personally feel that India has a lot of course societal, but also a lot of cultural problems that we just don't want to face. One of them is probably the problem of, or the issue of water and
Hmm.
access to water.
Right.
And of course I teach Hindi in my life and as my job, but in my personal life I'm really sensitive towards issues relating to water and water conservation and harvesting.
Yeah.
Um, so I really think in the next coming decade, etc., people would have a hard time
Hmm.
accessing clean water.
Right.
So there's this book by Mr. Anupam Mishra. It's called
Okay.
Aaj Bhi Khare Hain Talab, and
Okay.
it basically documents all the efforts by communities and individuals who have worked tirelessly to just restore the water harvesting, the historical water harvesting methods, like our Baolis, etc., and have revived lakes. And actually, at this point, I'll also like to mention the name of Mr. Ramveer Tanwar, who's actually currently working with his team to revive a lot of lakes in at least
Okay.
Delhi NCR region where I'm
Okay.
based.
Okay.
So this should be the book that people should be reading. I feel like it's a very good book to know about your water history, country's water history, and how it's just really important to have water in your country because we are
Right.
a huge number and we need
True.
water to live. So
True.
there we go.
Okay. Thank you, Pallavi. I guess I had a wonderful time speaking with you and knowing more about your work, your goals, and you had definitely so much to share, just with a language that we take, so granted in our day-to-day life. And I think it was a wonderful experience talking to you. I hope you also enjoyed answering the questions, and I again thank you for your time.
No, absolutely. And thank you so much for taking the time for, I mean, just researching about me and about my work and actually formulating these questions. You could have just asked me general questions like, oh, you know, what do you do every day? What's your lifestyle? What's your schedule like? La la la. And I really appreciate people who, put in efforts to, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate people who put in efforts to, what they do and not just be like, yeah, theek hai, karna hai, kar lenge, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you for taking the time, formulating intelligent questions and, asking them very, let's say, methodically, which is exactly what I do. I create a structure, method, and people understand that. So thank you for that and taking your time on a Sunday because
Yeah.
it's a holiday. But thank you for doing that for me.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. It was lovely talking to you.
Same here.
Thank you.